First of all, Riley Leonard, we hope you're okay. We saw Leonard leave the medical tent just moments after Notre Dame's win against Duke, suffering a leg injury, apparently, after the sack that ended Duke's chances in this game against the Irish. Welcome to the Voice of College Football, breaking down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis, as you already know. Or if you're joining us for a first time or have only seen a few things, keep it here. We talk college football like no one else. Gutsy win by the Irish. Gutsy loss. That's rarely stated, right? Nobody credits the losers for being gutsy and hardworking and putting their effort on the line as Duke did. Notre Dame pulls it out 21-14 in Durham. All right, let's take it from the top. Thomas and Greathouse, the Notre Dame wide receivers, out on this day. And the wide receiver play did let Notre Dame down on this night. Duke came out a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit jittery, didn't execute too well. Got behind in this game, and it was both mistakes and also physical play by Notre Dame and just better execution. So Duke, they gave up a fake punt conversion. They also had two missed field goals, one on the first or second drive of the game. And Riley Leonard did not look good early in this game. He was errant all over the place. 12 of 27 were the final numbers, but he got into a groove in the second half. But early on, he was missing receivers left and right. And the Irish doing a great job on defense of containing Riley Leonard, the dual threat quarterback for Duke, threw an interception to Xavier Watts that led to a score after Notre Dame had marched 82 yards on 8 plays. But after that scoring march, then the Leonard interception, and the Duke defense held many times in this particular drive at the 13-yard line to force the field goal to make it 10-0 Notre Dame. And that score stayed that way for quite a long time as Tobias Merriweather had a key drop that led to the stalling of a drive, and then Notre Dame missed that field goal. Could have been a touchdown drive, but Notre Dame led in yardage about halfway through the second quarter at 193-68. 61 rushing yards for Notre Dame, so not churning out the yards rushing, but at least a formidable rushing attack led by, of course, Audric Estime. Duke, negative 2 yards rushing at that point in the game. So Notre Dame, they just completely, their offensive line, their defensive lines, it looked like it was going to be a slow grind, methodical Notre Dame win, stretching out from 3 to 6 to 13 and on and on and on, because Notre Dame just clearly looked to be the more physically dominant, imposing team. And that's what we expected going into this game, that if Notre Dame was going to win this game, they were going to be the team that was going to physically dominate the game. And they did for the first half, plus into the second half. But Duke got creative offensively. Nothing crazy, double reverse passes, anything like that. But they started to get Riley Leonard some matchups in the open field, started to roll him out where he could get away from the oncoming rush, not have players in his face, not have the push of the Notre Dame tackles in his face when he threw the ball downfield, get him on the perimeter, let him run, also design some running plays for Riley Leonard that had some misdirection to them. And so Duke started to loosen up that Notre Dame defense. They had consecutive drives of at least 2 touchdown drives in the span of 3 drives, 11 plays, 75 yards, 8 plays, 80 yards for Duke. And then what about the Jordan Waters run? What about the Jordan Waters run? It wasn't a long run. It was like a 7-yard run. But you got to watch the run if you didn't see it inside the Notre Dame 10, that he dodged a bunch of guys. He was throwing guys off. And then he was surrounded by like 5 Notre Dame players and just refused to go down. And then the Duke offensive line kind of caught up and pushed him toward the goal line. 2 plays later, it was Jordan Moore with the touchdown reception from Riley Leonard. And it was 14-13 Duke after those 2 long scoring drives, 75 and 80 yards. All right. It came down to this. Duke was up 14-13. They had the ball. They got close to scoring range. They were on fringe field goal range. Of course, that would have been huge, expanding the lead from 1 to 4, or to keep the ball and score the touchdown. And there was 3 minutes left in that range. Well, they got to a 4th and 6 situation, too long for the field goal. Do they go for it and risk giving the ball back to Notre Dame at about the 35 to 40 yard line? Or do they go for it and drive the dagger in, most likely, with the first down conversion? Well, it looked like they were going to go for it. Then it looked like they were going to do a delay of game to set up the punter. But Riley Leonard punted it effectively inside the 5 yard line. And then after a false start penalty, Notre Dame was back at its 2. I think there was just under 2 minutes left to play. Kirk Herbstreit made a comment at some point in the drive that, of course, was very astute. He's near the best at what he does. That instead of dropping 7 or 8, rushing 3, Duke was aggressive. Mike Elko, defensive coordinator at Texas A&M, that's how he got this job. Aggressive on defense because there was just too much time left, basically. If there's 30 or 45 seconds left and you got somebody back at the 2, then umbrella coverage and tackle in space. No. Too much time for Sam Hartman to drive the ball down the field. So rushing him kept putting Sam Hartman in difficult situations, but he kept getting out of them. Like a Tobias Merriweather offensive pass interference call that after they got out of the shadow of their own goal post, created a 1st and 25. But they got out of that. And most notably on a 4th and 6, which was in many ways the play of the game, Sam Hartman rolled right. He hesitated because he wanted to throw the football, doesn't want to run, but he took off running, and he ran for the first down, and he just barely got it and laid his body on the line, got the first down, and that's really put Notre Dame in a position where they looked like they were going to kick the game-winning field goal, but then Audric Estime rushed for the 30-yard touchdown, and Notre Dame got the 2-point conversion, which was good for me because I picked the cover. Got the 2-point conversion, 21-14 Irish, and that was pretty much it. Riley and company only had about 35 seconds left, and the length of the field to go. They got a first down, and then Leonard got sacked. That's unfortunately where he got hurt. Hopefully not hurt much. Hopefully it's not a bad injury, but we shall see. He's on crutches right now, and that was all she wrote. Actually, the touchdown kind of gave Duke an opportunity rather than Notre Dame running out the clock and kicking the game-winning field goal. Gave Duke some life, actually, with the Estime touchdown run. He finished, Audric Estime, 18 carries, 81 yards, but consider the final play was for 30 yards. Before that, 17 for 51. So Duke did a nice job on the Notre Dame rushing attack, 17 for 51. Notre Dame's wide receivers need to play better. And I know, again, that they were without Thomas and Greathouse. Mitchell Evans is a beast. He's in that Notre Dame mold of tight ends. And he's as good as the rest of the guys in the recent history of Notre Dame tight end play. 6 catches for $134, just great hands, just an imposing figure that just throws guys off him once he catches the football, just plucks the ball out of the air. Just one of those prototypical Notre Dame tight ends. So just a tremendous game. Notre Dame pulls it out. Sam Hartman takes him down the field. I can't imagine what that fan base or that team would feel like if they would not have pulled this game out after what happened against Ohio State and South Bend. So the Irish live to continue their season with only 1 loss. Duke loses its first games. They should not suffer in any kind of rankings. Not that we care about rankings here because of the way that they're constructed, but we will certainly give Duke their due on the field for playing an outstanding game against what we consider to be one of the 10 to 15 best teams in the country. Notre Dame, Duke, the Irish have Louisville coming up here soon. I don't have the schedule right in front of me. Florida State or Duke does have Florida State coming up, and that's a key game, of course, in the ACC. But consider this. Of course, this is not a conference loss. So this might be the biggest game that Duke has played in virtually forever. Can we think of a bigger game on a national scale for Duke? But actually, from a conference standpoint, it's the 9th most important game on the schedule because they play 8 conference games, and those are the games that are going to put them in position to play in the ACC championship game. So Duke still has a ton of goals in front of them because of the national narrative that we predetermine in the offseason who's going to compete for a national championship. Nobody's talking about Duke for a national championship. However, they lost to Notre Dame in the closing seconds. Notre Dame marches on to a 11-1 season, and Duke wins the ACC championship at 12-1. And they're capable of doing that. Impressive on both ends of the scale here. Duke, Notre Dame, your thoughts about the Irish and the Blue Devils. Let's not forget about them. Just because they lost an out-of-conference game, let's not write them off. Their season is not over. They have so much to play for. And we appreciate you being here. All your support right here at the Voice of College Football.